Thank you for your service. And I can say that in a way that 99.9% of civilians can't, because I was an embedded journalist in Iraq.
Jeez. Yeah.
And I wanted to start there because there's been this shift in how the Democrats talk. Patriotism, freedom. It's things that we think of Republicans talking about. But the fact that you served, Adrian Fontes, who we talked with, earlier, he served. There is a great case to be made for the Democrats being patriots too.
Yeah, well, look, I has been a frustration of mine for years that Democrats never talked about how great this country is, and a lot of them did, but for some reason, there was some sector of the population that was very sheepish about it, which they shouldn't. This is the best country in the world. I would, my parents are immigrants. I was lucky enough to be born here. Every opportunity I've gotten here is because of this country. If we had stayed in Mexico or Colombia, we would still be poor. And I think we need to be talking about that remind people, Democrats versus independents, this is a great country, and we should all be fighting for it to keep it that way.
Yeah, it's have you found yourself in a position of having to remind people, hey, Arizona's important to the to the presidential race, but hey, we need to keep this Senate seat in Arizona as well for the Democrats. Have you been walking around asking for a couple of dollars here and there?
I don't think it ever stops. Unfortunately, there's way too much money in politics. But the most important thing I also remind people is we're a border state. Don't forget that a border state is different from everywhere else. We want more border security. We want more border patrol. We need also we need some immigration reform at the same time. But don't treat us like we're the Midwest, right? Because there is a particular interest that we really worried about.
You supported that bipartisan bill that was that got rejected because, and we've talked about this many times over the last few days. Donald Trump said no thanks, and so Republicans kind of left it behind. How has your position on the border changed? I know at one point you said a wall doesn't really work, but now I see you with commercials with Sheriff Hathaway down on the border. And do you feel like a wall works now?
Well, I've always said a wall should be going where it's necessary. The idea of having one solitary wall from San Diego to Laredo that's going to be inefficient in a lot of parts, will break down, it's going to cost billions of dollars, and walls without border patrol it's also useless too. So where our experts, not the politicians, tell us we need walls, that's where it should go. And I'm not just saying that now. If you look at my voting record, I have voted for hundreds of miles worth of walls, and if not, and also just thousands and thousands of border patrol and customs and technology. So I've been backing it up for a while. Now, in terms of just the topic of conversation when it comes to the border, look, the border has changed, and I think it's important for our elected officials to understand when things change and need to add more funds, then we add more funds. And clearly right now, there's no sane politician that could look at what has happened in the last 4 years when it comes to the asylum seekers abusing the system and say that the system is not broken. It is broken. It needs to get fixed, and especially for our border towns, they're the ones that take it directly on the chin, and we need to be supporting them. Have
you gotten guff from the left side of the Democratic Party?
Yeah, but a lot of them aren't from Arizona. And so I tell them, you just don't understand the border. You don't understand what we're seeing at the border. And it's important that you represent your constituents, and maybe they are a little more left-leaning. But the average voter in Arizona, Democrat, Republican, and Independent, all agree that the border is a problem. Hundreds of thousands of people abusing the asylum system is a problem, and it's not the responsibility of our Arizona border communities to absorb all of this. They need to support us, and they need to actually have real border security, as well as making sure that the system isn't abused, because if not, they'll continue coming.
You've been representing the congressional district that classic Arizona Congressman Ed Pastor represented for years.
Soul,
he was. I know so many Republicans who loved that guy too, right?
Yep.
How different is it running? It's not the same rat race where it's every 2 years, obviously, running for this for the House as opposed to the Senate, but also it's a statewide deal.
Oh yeah, we're a big state.
And I've lived in almost every part of that state, and it is a long ways from one part from the northern part to the south part. How much harder is it fundraising-wise and messaging-wise and all of that, running for Senate as opposed to the House?
Look, yes, it's hard, but it's also a lot of fun. You get to meet so many Arizonans. You go to all these cool places. You get to sit down. You get to learn from other people. And versus, when it's hard, I find it funny when politicians say things are hard. Like, people in Arizona have it hard. The farmer that wakes up and making sure that they could actually, harvest the food to put it to the market. The mom who has to fight traffic to get their kid to daycare. There's just so many other people that really, really have it hard, and I have this awesome opportunity to work for them. The hardest thing I've had to do, I have a 13-month-old baby girl now.
Yeah.
When I started the campaign, I did not have that.
You're a girl dad now,
I'm
too.
I'm a girl dad now, too. I have a beautiful 7-year-old son and now a 13-month-old daughter, and, being away from them is hard. But every day working Arizonans have it way harder than I do. Way harder.
Let's talk about those people, and let's talk about, as we chat with Congressman Ruben Gallego, who's, of course, running for the U.S. Senate against Kari Lake here at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. You're not just running here, of course. You're running all over the state of Arizona, right?
Right.
What other things do people that aren't from Arizona don't get about Arizona besides the border?
Besides the border. Well, look, I think a lot of people think that, we're a state that's not an innovative tech state, and I think they think we're still kind of a lot of my friends from Native American communities were there.
Oh, yeah.
That's Chairman Bob Miguel from the Action community.
Oh, yeah.
And so,
he was just on with us yesterday.
Oh, he's great, yeah.
I know Chairman Miguel pretty well.
And that's a really good example. When I talk to people from out of state, they're surprised that we have 22 federally recognized tribes.
Yeah.
40% of the landmass in Arizona is tribal land. And, of course, a lot of our future and our water future, we have to work together with our tribal partners in order to make sure we both have a water-secure future. So educating them just about that, it's a big deal. Educating them about water, right? If you talk to everybody, they always say, well, Arizona's running out of water. No. Arizona's got a water problem, but we can have a great future if we work together. And in some areas, we do have a lack of water, but if we work together to help our rural areas conserve and keep that water for themselves, they're going to have a great future, and they don't have to move later on or sell their land. I also want to make sure we talk to people about how diverse Arizona is. I mean, it's a great community. You could leave you could go in any part of Arizona. You're going to be able to get different types of food, meet different types of people, and also, I think, lastly, I don't think people realize how nice people in Arizona are. Right?
Yeah,
I think we have this natural reputation that I think is erroneous. Like, people are extremely nice. No matter where I am, where I travel, there's always someone there that's willing to welcome me with an open heart and an open hand. And I've always felt that way. It doesn't matter whether you're Democrat, Republican, or Independent. It's just been a great state.
Yeah, geographically and humanly diverse.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And of course also, Foodwise.
Foodwise is great. Yeah.
Very diverse. I've sampled them all a little
I know.
too much.
Me too.
I spent some time up on the Navajo reservation where I did some growing up, actually, and we were up there, and I think I had fry bread 6 or 7 times a day. I got to stay away from that.
Two of my best friends I served with from in the war are from the Navajo Nation, so I've been going up there for 20 years now and enjoying way too much mutton fry bread.
Yeah. What as you enter the last couple months, last 2.5 months here of your campaign to become a U.S. Senator from Arizona, Ruben Gallego, what other challenges do you see in your path? The poll numbers look good now against Kari Lake, but I know you don't take that for granted.
No, and Arizona is always going to be a competitive state. We're pretty evenly split, though the Republicans do have about 240,000 more registered Republicans than Democrats. My job is to talk to independents, Democrats, and Republicans, make them understand, help them understand, or try to convince them to understand that this Senate seat is not the Senate seat for Democrat Republicans. It's a Senate seat for Arizonans. It's going to be my job to represent them. And you know what? We may not agree all the time on issues, but we will work together and try to get there. And this is why I had just a couple of weeks ago more than 40 Republicans currently elected and retired that have come out and supported this campaign, because they know that at the core we respect each other, we will treat each other as Arizonans, and we're going to keep working together going into the future. And
finally, really quickly, because I know you got to run, what will you talk about in your speech tonight at the Democratic National Convention? You're going to be in front of all these delegates.
Yeah, look, I'm going to talk about veterans. The personal side of it. Obviously, someone the story about my unit and all the trauma that I came back home with. It still do. I still have PTSD. I talk about it. I encourage people to get treatment on it. I want to talk about the failures that happened when I got back. How I couldn't get treatment for PTSD. I couldn't get the VA. I couldn't get a VA disability. And then the successes we've seen. For example, the PACT Act, something that's very personal to me. A lot of the guys I serve with that are very young are now coming down with very, very rare diseases that you usually don't see until men usually in their 70s.
Yeah.
And we've lost young men to some rare cancers. These are guys I served with, I slept with, next to in burn pits, not in burn pits, next to them in burn pits, and we're very scared, and we don't know when something else is going to pop on us, but at least we know our families are going to be taken care of now, and that's because of the Biden-Harris administration passed the PACT Act. But there's more to go. We still have way too many men and women that are on the streets. This is why I'm very proud. I brought $41 million just last week to help with homeless veterans, but there's way more to go. We are not finished, and we are not successful until we get every veteran that has served honorably off the streets.
All right. Congressman Ruben Gallego, good luck with your speech tonight. Good luck with the rest of your campaign.
You too.
Appreciate you stopping by.